What is up, money friends and the viewers of the YouTubes? Figured I'd jump on the YouTube machine and talk to you guys because I figured, I don't know if you guys saw this video. I did a video a few weeks ago when I was in Cabo talking about how so many people, if they just had like 6 of their friends, they all invested into a timeshare or a house rental or whatever. If they did that for like 6 years, over the course of those 6 years, they would have like a place to stay for 2 months for the whole year. And that would be pretty sweet. Like if you literally bought 2 properties a year, or even 1 property a year, if you did that for 6 months or 6 years, you would have half of the year done. So I think that a lot of people don't want to go in with other people on things. And I totally understand that. I saw this article a few weeks ago about I don't know if he wasn't a kid, but this young man who was like, had 5 of his friends, and we're all like, hey, let's throw in $50 a week or $200 a month, and after that first year we can buy a property. And I was like, why don't people do that with vacation rentals? Like we do that all the time. We don't do it all the time, but me and my mom and my wife, we buy vacation rentals and we stay in them. Like we go to Cabo and Puerto Vallarta like 3 times a year, 4 times a year or so. Like we're going next month, I think, to Cabo, and we just went a few weeks ago. But essentially it was like, why don't more people just go in with some of their friends and do that? And then it got me thinking, like, well, why don't we do that? Why don't we start an NFT project and focus it on acquiring assets that aren't in the realm of crypto, because then it's getting outside capital and bringing it inwards. And so that led me to creating essentially just my infinite money loop, which I talk about this quite a lot on my YouTube channel. But essentially what you do is, since crypto, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, are both assets that you can leverage. So like, for instance, you can go to Nexio, you can go to Aave, there's all these different platforms you can use to leverage your crypto. But essentially you can borrow, you can hold your assets here with Nexio. More obviously it's a custodial, so if they go BK, then you're kind of out. But you can get a line of credit, and right here, so essentially they'll give you a line of credit at 0% APR, which is insane, depending on how much of their Nexio token you hold. I forget the token. I think it's Nexio. You hold, you can get 0% APR. If you don't want a custodial wallet or custodial company, you can do it through Aave, which is a decentralized protocol that is a liquidity protocol, and you can borrow against your assets. So like, for instance, you can let's see, let's just go to Arbitrum. Okay. So you can essentially supply, say, Ethereum here and earn 0.67 and then borrow a stable coin at 2.66, which is insane because interest rates for a house is like 7 for a 30-year fix, 7.2. So quite a bit of a difference, or a discount to say the least. But essentially what you would do is, to go back to my infinite money loop, is you essentially take your Bitcoin or your crypto, Bitcoin or your Ethereum or Avalanche or whatever you are staking, and then you put it either on Nexio or Aave. You then have a debit, which is your debit. You're adding your crypto in there, and you're getting a credit. So you're getting the leverage token that you can use. If that's, say, Nexio, getting up to 0% APR, or if that's Aave and you're using USDC, that's the asset that you're borrowing, And then obviously you can take that to the bank. Nexio, you would just, obviously it goes directly into your bank. They do a wire transfer. Aave, it just goes into your MetaMask, and then you can cash it out through like Coinbase or Binance, whatever exchanges you use. But then you take a loan, which is then, again, you're leveraging assets. So you get a loan, 20% down, 5% down, depending on how you structure. If you do 5% down, you do like a house hack and you live in one unit while renting out the others. I just did a video on this where essentially you could, let me just do this. Is this gonna work? You can essentially buy like a 2-unit property. Pretend those are properties. And essentially it would cost, I think it's like 200K. And in order to, I think it's 220 actually. And let's just say it's 200K loan at 7%. 7%, 7.2%. On a 30-year, I think it comes out to about $1,500 a month. And what's great is this is the mortgage for both of these units. And then you can rent out one of them for about $2,000 because it's 2-unit, a 2-bedroom. Rent $2,000, so that covers your mortgage and then some, and then you essentially rent out the second unit for free, or you live in it essentially. So you rent out this, it pays for your mortgage and then some, and then you get your rent back essentially for free. And so that's when the infinite money loop comes in, because then you're taking the extra cash flow, buying more Bitcoin, and then storing it on Nexio or Aave so that you do not get liquidated, because obviously you're leveraged at that point. And then you can consistently take that. You can either, from here, you can either borrow against it, or say, like I was talking about earlier, where you could bring it through Coinbase or whatever, or you can just use, I think it's Brits, pay your bills through here. And I've paid crypto, I paid my car bill through Spritz, just using USDC. So the reason why I want to do an NFT is because, where's my little drawing? It's because now with this part, it's an NFT. And that's getting essentially rewards. So what I plan on doing is essentially having some kind of system where a percentage of the rents go back into the NFT, essentially paying rent to the NFT holders. In doing so, as we acquire more properties, that rent for that NFT is going to go up, which then is going to increase the value of that NFT. So it's not really depicted by supply and demand. Like, obviously there's going to be a demand for it because it's an asset that's creating cash flow, but it's not going to be built off of hype. Like a lot of their NFT projects, that how they do it is all hype. We're going to actually do it based off of underlying assets. We're going to do it with tiny homes and land. Other VC companies or whatever, they're going to obviously buy multifamilies and apartment buildings. So our cost to acquire is much lower because they're not going to get into tiny homes. So that leaves assets like that very easy to acquire. So that's essentially the infinite money loop in a nutshell. You guys can steal this idea. I really don't care. It's something that I made up. If you want to get a few of your friends and throw it on a house, that's totally cool. I just actually created a video on my experience with real estate. We've bought over $1.8 million in real estate. We've bought 2 single-family houses, multifamilies. We would leverage our assets, essentially buy 1 rental property in 2015. It'd appreciate, and then we would pull out the equity, pull that equity out with a cash out refi, take that cash and buy a second property and keep doing that. And that's how we got to 10 rental units. And that's essentially what we'll be doing with the NFTs and real estate, because you can leverage real estate. You can't really leverage NFTs in a sense of creative financing and cash out refis and that sort of thing. So that's why we use a secondary asset like Bitcoin or Ethereum so we can borrow against it. But that's it, guys. Hope it was helpful. Drop a comment down below if you are interested in our tiny NFT project. You can go to Tiny Homes NFT, Tiny Home. I think it's tinyhomenft.com. Let's see. Yeah, world first tiny home community. That's the video I just did. And so if you want a rundown of my experience, I think I went over it. This is like the benefits of real estate, right? Like these are when we bought our rental properties, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 116 to 220, 122 to 230, 268 to something, 268 to, I think it was 4 something. And then these are just the cash out refis that I was talking about. This is just the rents. This is our house that we recently bought, went from 515 to it's over 900 now because of what we've done to it for sure. So yeah, that's about it. This is just that same thing as being able to pull out the equity, like I was talking about, take that cash flow, kind of like what I was talking about here. Right, where's Excalibur? Did I already close that page? Essentially, you can borrow here, or if you want, besides the cash flow, you can borrow here. 5. So that's taking out, doing a cash out refi, pulling out the equity essentially, and doing an equity transfer essentially by pulling out the equity and buying another rental property. But yeah, that's it. So if you want to do it yourself, I just gave you all the tools. Essentially, you can use Nexio or Aave. You have a bank, you have to find a rental property, and then obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So if that's something you're interested in, comment down below or go to Tiny Home NFT